Got a student who wants to take a course not offered at their school? Or maybe he or she is a famous actor or athlete. How are these connected? We're discussing all that starting right now. Hello and welcome back to the Inside Scoop. I'm David Owen. Hopefully you'll find a nugget or two that's useful to you and your family in this episode. If so, like, subscribe, and share the link with a friend. Whether you have a student needing a course in American Sign Language, or maybe they're a young actor actually getting roles in feature films, CVA, or Cobb Virtual Academy, can help you finish out the course credits you need or your child needs without sacrificing the quality of your education. Here to help bring us up to date on all things CVA are Assistant Director April Sandifer and Director Ryan Fuller. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Ryan has been here before. I don't know how many times, but a few.
A few.
So during the pandemic, our test scores were better than what you would see statewide, for students statewide, or even on the national level. And we even had an independent study show that Cobb students fared better because we have something called CTLS. That's not news to you guys. You're already very well aware of it. But CTLS helped us get through that pandemic time. But what role does that play in CVA? And then we have another acronym, COLA, the Cobb Online Learning Academy. How do these things all relate together?
So CTLS is the Cobb Teaching and Learning System. It is the learning environment that is used by both CVA and COLA.
Okay.
We use it differently, and that is where our two models of virtual learning differ. So Cobb Online Learning Academy is part of Cobb Horizon High School.
Right. And we've had a podcast on
Yes.
that with Gene Walker.
Yes, yes.
A phenomenal opportunity for students. But you're saying CTLS is in COLA and Cobb Horizon. Actually, it's used in all of our schools, right?
Yes.
At some level.
Yes.
Okay.
It is used, CTLS is used as the primary learning environment for virtual programs, which is a little bit different than the traditional face-to-face school.
Okay.
So the COLA model is more synchronous, where students have a daily schedule they follow similar to what they would in a face-to-face environment. They may have science first period, English second, math third, whereas Cobb Virtual Academy is more asynchronous, which means that students take their class at the time of day that is best for them, more convenient for them. So we have deadlines, we have due dates, so we do pace the students through the class, but when they work on that class is up to them.
So that could help a student who has to work for helping their family's income, right?
Yes, that's correct. And one key difference between enrolling with CVA and enrolling with COLA is that the student remains part of their local school. So they still remain enrolled in their local school when they take a class through CVA.
Okay.
Whereas with COLA, they unenroll from their local school and they enroll with COLA separately.
Oh, so COLA is a separate school.
Yes.
And CVA is, I guess you'd call it an amendment to the school. It's
yes. CVA is a program that serves schools.
Okay.
So we provide a service to all 17 high schools and many of the middle schools throughout the district.
That makes perfect sense. I like the way you put
Supplemental program.
Supplemental. Somebody had the right word. That's awesome.
It just took me a minute to get to
Yeah, well, you and me both. Anyway. So one thing that I've heard across the district from some parents is CVA is great when there's a course that you need to take or want to take, but it's not offered in your school. Tell us a little bit about what that is.
Sure. So there are many specialized courses that maybe only one or two students wants to take inside the local school. Or it could be a subject that teachers are difficult to find. So what we can do is bring students together from multiple schools of the district, provide the teacher, provide the content, and open up that opportunity for those students to take a class that they otherwise wouldn't have had access to.
Okay, so it's kind of like sharing a teacher. Like, so let's say that, I don't know, Latin is a
Great
language
example.
that we don't have a lot of Latin teachers around. So let's say there's a Latin teacher in Kennesaw Mountain High School, but there's a student in Lassiter who wants to take Latin. They don't have it available at Lassiter. You're saying that this Lassiter student could, in essence, sit in on the Kennesaw Mountain teacher. I mean, it's something similar. It's not just a webcam. It's not pre-recording a lesson. It's something more in depth, and maybe that's a conversation for another podcast. But is that generally the concept?
In general, the development process that we go through for our content would be an entirely different podcast, and one that we could probably talk about for hours. So we have a very rigorous content development process, and we co-develop content for the entire district, actually, with our academics division.
Wow. Okay.
But as far as being able to multiply the kind of teacher capacity at
Yeah.
schools,
Yeah.
that would be a good way to put it. So
Okay.
we would have the teacher at Kennesaw Mountain would work specifically for CVA, and we would open that class up to all students who want to take it.
So they would develop content using your protocols, I guess you'd call them, to qualify as a bona fide good course for a Cobb student. Is that kind of the bottom line?
We develop all of our content in-house. So we have a content development team that works at CVA specifically.
Okay.
So we provide all the content for our teachers.
Oh, okay.
The vast majority of our teachers are adjunct, which means they probably teach in a face-to-face Cobb school during the day.
Right.
And then they teach for Cobb Virtual supplementally.
Okay.
So that teacher at Kennesaw Mountain would essentially earn a stipend to teach for CVA in addition to their regular workday.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So, Ryan, I understand that Cobb, we Cobbify everything.
We
right?
do.
But there is also a state of Georgia version of this. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how that's different from what we offer in Cobb?
Sure, David. So we're fortunate to live in a state that provides a lot of opportunities for students no matter where they live in the state, and that's no different right here in Cobb. So in addition to the opportunities that COLA offers and that Cobb Virtual Academy offers, there's a state-level program called the Georgia Virtual School, and we do have students from Cobb County take courses through Georgia Virtual School, and those are the courses that we don't offer, or on the rare occasion, maybe our courses will fill if they're particularly popular, and we do have limits on the number of students that can take those courses.
Okay.
So it's nice to know that there's an opportunity, even if, as I said, we don't have the course or that it's full. And this is developed by the Georgia Department of Education and is considered one of the top state programs in the nation. So again, we're very fortunate to have both COLA and CVA and Georgia Virtual School to serve our students.
Yeah. So would it be fair to call that a backup plan in case Cobb
Yeah,
Virtual Academy doesn't have what you need?
Absolutely. So we pride ourselves on making sure that we have the best courses, the highest quality teachers available for all of our students here in Cobb. We do offer face-to-face support, both at the school sometimes with our student support team, and then in our Cobb Virtual Learning Center. While Georgia Virtual School is there as a backup plan, it doesn't have all of the opportunities for that support that Cobb Virtual can offer our local school students.
Sure. Because in Cobb, we're just better. Just had to say that. So, and you mentioned something there that is a little intriguing. We're talking about a virtual concept, but you said at our support center. Where is that generally?
Sure. So our administration is housed at the Cobb Horizon, on the Cobb Horizon campus,
Okay.
At 1765 The Exchange. And so we have a learning center lab that's available to students about 18 hours a week. And then we also have a virtual learning center option. So students that are online and maybe can't get to our location can reach out virtually. And then, of course, the first line of support for all students are their teachers. Because every one of our courses has a highly qualified teacher that has gone through training with us, and they can connect with the teachers via email, phone, text, or even video chatting. So lots of ways. Although we are asynchronous, what we call ourselves is primarily asynchronous, which means that there are opportunities for the students to connect synchronously, and our teachers do offer a handful of live sessions throughout the term where they invite all the students from the class to join them during a live session and maybe address a particularly challenging topic in their class, or maybe there's a how-to on a particular technology that they want to go over that makes sense to get everybody together at once.
Sure.
And they record those sessions and make them available to students. So it's never a have to attend, because we understand that one of the primary benefits of what we offer is that flexibility, and we don't want to impinge on that.
This really is starting to sound more like a college situation. Is that a fair analysis to say that this is similar to college or university type online system?
I would say yes, and because our students are primarily high school students, I mean, that's one of the things that we do to help prepare them for the next level. And David, I would say it's not just college anymore. No matter what you go into after high school, whether it be a job, whether it be additional schooling, you're going to participate in online learning. It might even be YouTube U, right? It might even be your own personal learning, but in some way or another, you're going to engage in an online environment and learn in that environment. So we feel that an experience with Cobb Virtual helps prepare you for those next steps.
So are these courses, are they free of charge, or is there a tuition? How does that all work?
If a student takes their CVA class as part of their normal school schedule, part of their normal school day, just like they would any other face-to-face class, then they do not pay tuition.
Like to meet a credit requirement? Is that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It is part of their state-funded school day.
But it doesn't have to be, I'm sorry to interrupt you, it doesn't have to be during the day that they attend. It's just to meet their
scheduled
requirement.
as part of their state-funded school schedule at their local school.
All right.
However, students may also take classes in addition to their state-funded school day.
Okay.
So, for example, if a student wants to get ahead, they may want to go ahead and take another credit in addition to. If they are behind and want to catch up, then they may retake a class to earn that credit.
Okay.
We get most of our tuition students are during the summer. So we have many students that will take classes in the summer, particularly health and personal fitness, in order to free up space in their face-to-face school schedule during the school year for classes of interest, AP classes, magnet classes, IB classes, things of that nature.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like, well, first of all, it's ideal in the summer scenario because nobody wants to go back into the school building, right? That's kind of a nice little perk. But it's also perfect for the overachievers out there who really want to, just move on, plow through all of the curriculum and advance in life and get on out there and do their best. So, Ryan, I mentioned earlier that you'd been on a podcast and you've been here about CVA. How long have you been doing the CVA thing here in Cobb?
So I've been with CVA for 15 years, but maybe more impressive is that Cobb Virtual has been serving students online since 2001. And we were the second program in Georgia and one of the first in the U.S. to start a district-level online learning program.
Wow. Wow. I didn't realize we were that close to the leading edge, so to speak. So since that time, that's a long time.
It is.
Why is this not just everywhere? Why aren't almost all of our students doing this? Because it seems like it would be such a win-win situation for so many people. Why hasn't the program just grown by leaps and bounds? Is it because of the like you were talking about earlier, the content quality? Is that kind of the heart of it?
I think there's several reasons, one of which is were pretty well kept secret. Despite us doing podcasts, being promoted, there's been presentations in board meetings. Not everybody knows about us.
Right.
I think after the pandemic, everybody had some sort of online learning experience, whether
Sure.
good or bad.
I was going to say.
Right, whether good or bad during the pandemic. But so I think people are more aware now of what some of the options are, and they're more willing to look and more willing to ask the questions. So I think just an awareness is a part of it. Two, I think that, or I know that, we have been very intentional about how we have grown over the years. When we started, we offered courses required for graduation. That was our primary focus because we knew every student in the school district needed those courses.
Just the core.
That's right, the core courses. And so we were focused on making sure that all students, regardless of scheduling conflicts or just life getting in the way of these core courses required for graduation, that they had access to them through us. As we have grown in our resources, in our knowledge, in our understanding of online learning, and really in our philosophy of, making these courses accessible to as many students as we can throughout the school district, we have intentionally grown. And so, for instance, in the past 2 years, we've expanded to world languages, which you've mentioned in your introduction, and we are growing our CTAE program, so more of the elective type classes, so more of the high interest classes, and we are finding the uptake in those to be quite significant. We are excited to grow, but we never want to grow past our ability to offer those high quality courses, with well-trained teachers.
Sure.
And so we've been methodical about that.
Yeah, and the importance of each individual's achievements and education, the quality is of super. You can't afford to have a student be the guinea pig, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
Now, I just realized that I've left our audience kind of hanging a little bit. In the intro, I mentioned the possible actor or athlete. Tell us a little bit about what your experience has been on that.
Sure.
I know you have mentioned to me off to the side a few things, but go in a little depth as best you can.
Sure. So we have had a wide variety. So students come to us for a wide variety of reasons.
Sure.
Some of which is exactly what you just mentioned. They are pursuing potential careers in athletics, in acting, particularly here in Yollywood, right?
Yeah.
In the state of Georgia, right?
Right.
And so one of the nice things that we can offer these students is the ability for flexing their school day. So a lot of these students that have maybe auditions or filming, they can go to their local school for 2-3 periods a day, 3/4 of their day, and then maybe leave early, finish their school day with us at another time, right, when the flexible time opportunities, and still have a complete schedule and be able to pursue their opportunities. We've had representatives from the United States for U.S. soccer programs. We've had students that have participated in television shows like The Voice. We have had students that have been on the big screen. And we've also had students that can no longer attend school, maybe for a medical reason or otherwise. And so again, in all of those cases, we're giving those students an opportunity to have a complete schedule in their school day, not fall behind because they're pursuing something they're passionate about, or they've been presented with a life challenge that really they had no control over.
Yeah. Earlier, you mentioned that you guys supplement the local schools in meeting the course needs of a student. But how do you relate to that school? If you've got, again, Kennesaw Mountain, you've got a student there that is using CVA to meet certain course needs. Y'all don't have counselors, right?
That's right. And we really see ourselves as partners with the local schools. Maybe think of us as an extension of the local school.
Okay.
So the counselors certainly are the starting point for all students that are interested in taking our courses, because the counselors ultimately are responsible for making sure the students are taking all the classes they need to graduate.
So they're kind of the bridge.
That's exactly. And so we would never, for instance, if a student called us and said, "Hey, what online course should I take?" we're happy to talk to that student or parent about what an online course is, but we're not going to tell them which course that they need to take because that's not our role in their education. That's the
Right.
counselor's role. So we support the local school counselors. And so don't be surprised if you call our office and we will answer all the questions that we can, but we might end up sending you back to the local school, not because we don't want to answer, because it's not appropriate for us to
Right.
answer for that individual student.
Right, and that counselor's got the big picture in mind for that particular student.
They,
right?
they do. And they can have those conversations with the student about the online learning experience and then connect that student's, preferences, abilities, needs to that opportunity for them.
Okay. Well, you kind of mentioned what I was going to ask next, and that is how, if somebody has listened to this conversation and concluded, hey, CVA actually would be a good fit for my student, how do they on-ramp? How do they get going? And it sounds like maybe connecting with their local school counselor? Is that the best approach?
Number one is absolutely reaching out to the local school counselors. Many schools by now have a process, likely in the spring, that they'll say, hey, are you interested, or do you know if you might need an online course in the upcoming school year, in the fall and spring of next year? They'll have a process in place, so students need to listen out for those opportunities. But again, no matter what time of year it is, they can go to their local school counselor. And then to find out more about our program, what classes that we offer, they can always go to our website. It's real easy to remember. It's kind of long, but it's cobbvirtualacademy.org. And that'll take them right there, and they can find out about our support mechanisms, our class catalog, when our registration periods are open. And they mirror very closely the beginnings of each term.
Okay. Well, and to your point, if a student is maybe struggling in a course and it looks like, they're about to not get the credit they need on this one, maybe that's a good time to say to the counselor, hey, we want to look at this as a possible option. Can you help us?
Sure.
Right?
That's right.
Okay. Well, and by the way, the links for all that you just said will be in the show notes and description so that parents, you don't have to scribble things down in a hurry. Well, that just sounds incredible. You guys have put together this, I started to say program. It's an academy that is such a great supplement to local schools and for students to be able to meet the needs they have for getting through successfully and reaching graduation. So thank you for coming on, April, Ryan.
Thank
you so
having us.
much. Did you hear something that sounded enticing to you for you and your student, your family? If you'll give us a like, that helps YouTube know it's a video to recommend to others. So please click like, subscribe, and share this podcast with a friend. Thank you for listening to this edition of The Inside Scoop, a podcast produced by the Cobb County School District.